Chapter 979. Dragon Phoenix House. Inside a private room, Qin Feiyang sat next to the tea table and looked at Wu Yang standing in front of him. While drinking tea, he asked, "Why did you ask me to come here?" Wu Yang respectfully said, "I have a piece of news. It's about a 7th grade alchemy fire." Qin Feiyang's arm trembled. He put down the teacup and said, "Tell me." Wu Yang said, "Somewhere in Qinghai, a cluster of 7th grade alchemy fire is about to appear." Qinghai? Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Is this news true?" "It's true." Wu Yang nodded. "Who else knows?" Qin Feiyang asked. Wu Yang said, "According to my father, this alchemy fire was first discovered by the people in the tower. So the people in the tower must know about it." Qin Feiyang frowned. "The people in the tower found it. How did the Qilin tribe know about it?" "To tell you the truth, not only the Qilin tribe, but several other tribes also have people in the tower. And their status is not low. So, as long as it's not a particularly secret, we can basically know it in the first place." Wu Yang said, "So that's how it is." Qin Feiyang suddenly realized. He didn't expect that not only the Mujia, but also the major tribes have spies in the tower. This tower is really a mix of dragons and snakes. Qinghai is a very dangerous place. With my ability, I'm sure I can't get the alchemy fire. So I can only tell you this news. You have to find a way. Wu Yang said. He looked a little nervous. "How dangerous is it?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. This so-called Qinghai, he has never been there, and even heard very little about it. "I don't know, but I heard from my father that even a war emperor may not return," Wu Yang said. "This?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "That's right. Last time, the chief said that there was something for him to deal with, and the destination was Qinghai. Could it be that the thing to deal with is the alchemy fire?" Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a moment, then looked at Wu Yang and said, "Is there any other news?" "Yes. Because you killed Wu Jian, our leader is thinking of a way to deal with you," Wu Yang said. Frankly speaking, he still felt like he was living in a dream. One had to know that Wu Jian was a genuine 9-star battle saint. Although he had suppressed his cultivation level, it was still unbelievable that he could be killed in an instant by this person. "Deal with me?" Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. He was not surprised at all. Wu Jian was a genius of the Qilin tribe, and his future was limitless. If the leader of the Qilin tribe did not come to find trouble with him, then that would truly be strange. Qin Feiyang said, "When he thinks of a way to deal with me, you have to tell me immediately." No matter how much they disdained the Qilin tribe, they were still a super tribe with countless combat emperors. They had to be on guard. "All right." Wu Yang nodded. Then, he looked like he wanted to say something. Qin Feiyang glanced at him and said indifferently, "I like people who are straightforward. Just say what you want to say." Wu Yang gritted his teeth and said, "When can I be free?" "When you fulfill my conditions, you will be free. Take out your image crystal and build a contract bridge. It will be convenient for us to contact each other in the future." Qin Feiyang smiled and took out his image crystal. Wu Yang sighed deeply and helplessly. He also took out his image crystal. After the contract bridge was completed, Qin Feiyang stood up and opened the portal to leave. "I can't go on like this. I must find a way to get rid of his control." Looking at the portal that disappeared, Wu Yang's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. Because he knew that even if he fulfilled Qin Feiyang's conditions, Qin Feiyang might not let him go. He must strike first to gain the upper hand. Get rid of my control. Naive. At the same time, Soothing Lake. Qin Feiyang stood in the courtyard with a cold smile in his eyes. When he saw Wu Yang, he had been secretly spying on Wu Yang's inner thoughts. Therefore, he knew all of Wu Yang's thoughts clearly. It was just as Wu Yang thought. Even if Wu Yang fulfilled his conditions, he would not let him go. Because of the incident with Xuan, he hated and disliked anyone who took the blood evil pill from the bottom of his heart. Such people should not live in this world. Whoosh! At this moment, a purple figure broke through the air and arrived. Qin Feiyang looked up and saw that it was Gongsun Bei. "Are you used to this place?" Gongsun Bei landed in Qin Feiyang's courtyard and asked with a smile. "It's okay." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Lord Gongsun, do you have something to tell me? Sigh. Why are you calling me Lord? You are too polite. Although I have finished my apprenticeship, I am still the Chief Tower Master's disciple. You can call me Senior Brother. Gongsun Bei smiled. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Gongsun Bei said, I am indeed here to ask you to do something. Please say it, Senior Brother. Qin Feiyang said. Wait. Gongsun Bei looked at young Master Hao in Wang Yuer's courtyard and said loudly, You or Junior Brother come out. Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Why did he ask Wang Yuer and young Master Hao to come out? After a while, Wang Yuer walked out of the attic in a white dress. Her hair fluttered in the wind, and she looked like a fairy in a painting. She was young and beautiful. She looked at Gongsun Bei and Qin Feiyang. Wang Yuer frowned slightly, then flew up and landed in front of Gongsun Bei. She looked very intimate and said with a smile, Big brother Gongsun, what are you doing? Let's talk later. Gongsun Bei smiled and looked at young Master Hao's courtyard. However, young Master Hao did not come out. Did he go to the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion again? Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyang and Wang Yuer and frowned. Should be. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. If young Master Hao was not at Calm Heart Lake, then he must be at the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. He's really persistent. Gongsun Bei sighed helplessly and took out an image crystal to send a message to young Master Hao. After a while, young Master Hao appeared in the courtyard with a dissatisfied face. Junior Brother, you can't blame the Chief Pagoda Master for always saying that you don't do your job properly. You asked for it. Let me tell you, if you continue to be like this, I'm afraid that the entire Central Divine Kingdom will talk about you behind your back. Gongsun Bei tried his best to persuade him. It's none of your business. Young Master Hao rolled his eyes and waved his hand impatiently. Don't be long-winded. If you have something to say, just say it. A row of black lines appeared on Gongsun Bei's forehead, and the veins on his forehead bulged. Can't you see that I'm concerned? My good intentions were taken as ill intentions. Some time ago, we found a cluster of 7th-grade alchemy fire in Qinghai. Gongsun Bei said. As expected, Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat. But young Master Hao looked unhappy and said, It's just a cluster of 7th-grade alchemy fire. You can just bring it back. Why do you have to call me back? Wang Yuer also looked suspicious. The 7th-grade alchemy fire was no less than a big treasure in Qin Feiyang's eyes. But it was nothing in the eyes of young Master Hao and Wang Yuer. Gongsun Bei said, The Chief Pagoda Master wants the three of you to go to Qinghai and bring back the alchemy fire. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. When Gongsun Bei said that there was a 7th-grade alchemy fire, he expected this result. But he didn't expect that young Master Hao and Wang Yuer would also go. If he were to go alone, he would be able to take the alchemy fire for himself with a few simple tricks. But now that young Master Hao and Wang Yuer were with him, it was not so easy. At the same time, hearing Gongsun Bei's words, young Master Hao frowned and shook his head. I'm not interested. I'm not going. Gongsun Bei said. This is the Chief Pagoda Master's order. You can't refuse. Fuck. I'm not your pet. Why should I listen to you? Gongsun Bei said angrily. In his opinion, this was simply a waste of time. Wang Yuer glanced at Qin Feiyang and snorted coldly. I'm not interested either. Especially if I'm going with someone. That's for the best. Because I like to be alone. And I don't like to bring a burden. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Who are you calling a burden? Wang Yuer immediately gnashed her teeth. I'm not talking about you. Why are you so agitated? Qin Feiyang shrugged and then said jokingly. Or do you admit that you're a burden? Bastard, I'll tear you apart. Wang Yuer couldn't argue and attacked. She bared her white teeth and pounced on Qin Feiyang fiercely. Gongsun Bei, who was next to them, felt a headache when he saw this scene. Enough. Stop fooling around. Seeing that Wang Yuer was about to pounce on Qin Feiyang, Gongsun Bei released his energy and imprisoned both Mr. Hao and Mr. Hao. It's indeed quite easy for us divine envoys to bring back that cluster of elixir fire. And I also think that it's unnecessary to let you go to Qinghai. But the Chief Tower Master said that this is a good opportunity for you to gain experience. Gongsun Bei said. Who cares? Mr. Hao pouted. Gongsun Bei was extremely helpless. He said, The Chief Tower Master has already decided. You have to go whether you want to or not. You'll leave tomorrow morning. Then he withdrew his energy. Humph. Mr. Hao snorted and turned around to enter his tower without looking back. Wang Yu'er glanced coldly at Qin Feiyang and also turned around to leave. Sigh, these two are really troublesome. Gongsun Bei sighed helplessly. Then he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Do you know the real reason why the Chief Tower Master wants you to go to Qinghai? The real reason? Qin Feiyang was stunned. After thinking for a while he said, For Mr. Hao? Yes. Junior brother is different from others since he was born. He has never experienced any setbacks, which makes the Chief Tower Master very worried. Because if this goes on, his future will be delayed and his talent will be wasted. So the Chief Tower Master wants him to go out and see the cruelty of the world. He wants him to experience some hardships and tribulations, so that he will understand that he can't always rely on others. He has to rely on himself for everything. But the Chief Tower Master is worried, so he wants you to go with Wang Yu'er. Wang Yu'er has the strength, and you have the brains. You can do your best to protect junior brother. Of course, it's also a chance for you and Wang Yu'er to cultivate your relationship. Gongsun Bei smiled ambiguously. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. It was impossible for him and Wang Yu'er. What was there to cultivate? Have you asked Elder Wang and Wang Yu'er's parents about this? Qin Feiyang asked. Of course. It's such an important matter. We have to discuss it with them in advance. And they are very satisfied with you. They hope that you and Wang Yu'er can be together. Gongsun Bei smiled. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint their good intentions. Qin Feiyang sighed inwardly. He and Wang Yu'er were not from the same world, so it was impossible for them to be together. Besides, Gongsun Bei added with a serious face, you have to remember what I'm going to say next. No matter what difficulties you encounter after you leave Divine City, we won't help you in any way. Qin Feiyang was shocked. It seemed that the Chief Tower Master was serious this time, to make young Master Hao change his mind. What about the coordinates of the alchemy fire? Qin Feiyang asked. I won't tell you. You have to find it yourself. But don't worry. As long as you enter Qinghai, it won't be difficult to find the location of the alchemy fire. But you have to hurry, because there should be only half a month before the birth of the alchemy fire. Gongsun Bei said. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Gongsun Bei patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder and said with a smile, Then I'll leave this matter to you. Bring junior brother back alive. I'll try my best. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay, you get ready. I'll go and report. After Gongsun Bei finished speaking, he opened the portal and left. It's really troublesome. When the portal dissipated, Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly had a trace of anger. Immediately, he turned and entered the attic, took out the image crystal, and Wu Yang's shadow quickly condensed. Qin Feiyang said, Give me the location and coordinates of the alchemy fire. Wu Yang was stunned and said respectfully, Now we only know that the alchemy fire has appeared in Qinghai, and the location and coordinates are still in the process of finding out. How long do you need to find out? Qin Feiyang frowned. I don't know. Wu Yang shook his head. Qin Feiyang pondered and said, Once you find out the coordinates, tell me immediately. Okay. Wu Yang nodded and asked, Is there anything else? Nothing. Qin Feiyang shook his head. After turning off the image crystal, Qin Feiyang sat on the chair, lowered his head and muttered, his eyes flickering. 7th grade alchemy fire. I'm determined to get it. A moment later, he clenched his hands and muttered to himself, a firm light flashing in his eyes. Time flew. Early the next morning, Qin Feiyang walked out of the attic. Soon, Wang Yu'er and young Master Hao also walked out. Although they didn't want to go, the Chief Pagoda Master had already made up his mind and could only obey. The three of them gathered together. Wang Yu'er didn't say anything and directly declared her sovereignty, saying, Along the way, you must listen to me. On what basis? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Wang Yu'er said coldly, Because I'm stronger than you. If you're not convinced, you can come and fight. Okay, I'll listen to you. Qin Feiyang was helpless. He was a 1-star battle saint. Wasn't he looking for trouble if he fought with a 9-star battle saint? Then let's go. Wang Yu'er waved her hand and opened a portal. The three of them walked in one after another. Qilin tribe. Chief. The chief pagoda's spy reported that Ancestor Mu is going to Qinghai. In a hall, an old man in black stood in front of the chief of the Qilin tribe and said respectfully. The chief of the Qilin tribe was stunned and frowned. Why is he going to Qinghai? The old man in black said. It's said that the chief pagoda master asked him to bring back the alchemy fire. That's not right. Usually, the chief pagoda's divine envoy will come out in such a situation. The chief of the Qilin tribe was suspicious. The old man in black said. It seems that he wants to train him. Chapter 980. Qinghai City. This city was located at the western border of the central divine kingdom, which was very far away from the divine city. The area of Qinghai City was only about 5 or 6 miles. Compared to the divine city, it was like heaven and earth. Moreover, Qinghai City had been built for less than 1,000 years. However, such a city was quite prosperous. Because Qinghai City was the only way to Qinghai, and it was only dozens of miles away from Qinghai. Many people who went to Qinghai to explore and search for treasures would come here to replenish their supplies and rest. Swish! At this moment, in the sky above a forest outside the city, 3 figures appeared out of thin air. It was Qin Feiyang and the other 2. Qin Feiyang glanced down, looked up at the city not far away, and asked suspiciously, Where is this? I don't know either. Young Master Hao shook his head. Although he was born in the central divine kingdom, he had always been in the divine city, so he was even more unfamiliar with the outside world than Qin Feiyang. Wang Yuer said, This is Qinghai City, the only city near Qinghai. If you want to buy anything, hurry up and buy it. Young Master Hao asked curiously, Sister, have you been here before? No. Wang Yuer shook her head. Then how do you know? Young Master Hao was suspicious. Nonsense. Of course I asked around. Wang Yuer glared at him angrily. In fact, last night, she had deliberately asked someone about the details of Qinghai City. Therefore, although she had never been here before, she knew a little about Qinghai City. Young Master Hao smiled embarrassedly. This woman is quite attentive. Qin Feiyang glanced at Wang Yuer and asked, Then should we change our faces and hide our identities? No need. Qinghai City is millions of miles away from the divine city. Basically, no one here has been to the divine city, so no one will know us. Wang Yuer said. No way. I'm so famous but they don't know me. Young Master Hao was surprised. Narcissist. Wang Yuer couldn't help but roll her eyes and said, Although others don't know you, the pavilion master and the city lord of Qinghai City know you. Who? Young Master Hao was stunned and asked. Wang Yuer said, Fu Xiong Shen Feiyun. So it's them. Young Master Hao was enlightened. Let's go. Restrain your auras, and don't attract too much attention. After all, we're here to train. The fewer people who know the better. Wang Yuer said indifferently and flew towards Qinghai City without looking back. Qin Feiyang and Young Master Hao followed behind her. Qin Feiyang whispered, Who are Fu Xiong and Shen Feiyun? Young Master Hao chuckled. Speaking of which, you and Fu Xiong have some history. Origin. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Young Master Hao asked, Do you remember Fu Anshan? Of course I remember. Qin Feiyang said. Young Master Hao smiled. Fu Xiong is Fu Anshan's son. Ugh. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Then he smiled bitterly. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. As for Shen Feiyun, this person was once a prominent figure in Divine City. He was even as famous as Gongsun Bei. Unfortunately, in the end, when he spoke up to hear, Young Master Hao paused as if he was hiding something that was difficult to say. As famous as Gongsun Bei, Qin Feiyang was shocked. Who didn't know that Gongsun Bei was not only the disciple of the Chief Tower Master, but also his trusted aide. It could be said that his status in Forgotten Continent was definitely not lower than the Holy Tower Master and the Saint Peak Master. And a person who could be compared to Gongsun Bei should at least be an overlord. How could he have fallen to such a state? Not long later, the 3 of them landed in front of the city gate. There were 4 guards guarding the city gate. Their cultivation was between 1 Star War Master and 3 Star War Master. Wow, look! A great beauty has come. When they saw Wang Yuer, The eyes of the 4 guards immediately lit up as they stood at the city gate. When Qin Feiyang and the other 2 approached, the leader of the guards shouted, "Stop!" The 3 of them were slightly stunned. The leader of the guards shouted, "Who are you? What is your purpose in coming to Qinghai City?" The people coming and going all stopped in their tracks and looked at the 3 of them suspiciously. Wang Yuer raised her eyebrows and said patiently, "Big brothers, we are explorers going to Qinghai City." "Really? But no matter how we look at it, you don't look like good people." The guard glanced at Qin Feiyang and young Master Hao, then looked straight at Wang Yuer. The other 3 guards were the same. Looking at the eyes of the 4, Qin Feiyang immediately understood that there was an ulterior motive. But he didn't move, because he wanted to see how Wang Yuer was going to deal with it. Wang Yuer had seen countless people, and had teased countless men. Of course, she could see through the thoughts of the 4 at a glance. A cold light flashed in her eyes as she said, "Then may I ask, how can we prove that we are not bad people?" There was a trace of coldness in her tone. "Search. We want to see if you have any weapons on you. Don't try to resist, because in Qinghai City, no matter how high your cultivation is or how strong you are, you have to follow the rules here." The leader of the guards said very seriously, but his eyes were always glancing at Wang Yuer's chest. "You're courting death." Young Master Hao clenched his hands and said in a deep voice, "What if we don't follow the rules?" "Don't follow the rules?" The 4 guards looked at each other and smiled. The leader's eyes flashed, and he said, "If you don't follow the rules, you'll die, even if you're the king of heaven." Arrogant. Young Master Hao was furious. Qin Feiyang grabbed him and said with a smile, "Don't be anxious." Qin Feiyang and young Master Hao looked at each other, and also looked up. Their gazes passed through the crowd, and finally landed on a certain place on the street inside the city. At that place, a young man was walking over with large strides, surrounded by a group of guards. The young man was wearing a gorgeous purple robe, and was about 1.8 meters tall. There was an exquisite jade pendant on his waist, and he looked dignified and arrogant. The group of guards behind him were dressed similar to the 4 guards guarding the city. Obviously, they were all from the city lord's mansion. However, their auras were much stronger than the 4 people guarding the city. The purple-clothed young man was like a moon surrounded by stars, looking down on the crowd. "Greetings, young Master Long." As soon as the purple-clothed young man came out, the people gathered in front of the city gate bowed to him. "Yes." Young Master Long nodded, his arrogant expression slightly cold, but when he saw Wang Yuer, his eyes flashed with surprise. "What's going on?" He looked at the 4 city guards and frowned. The leader of the guards hurriedly said, "Young Master Long, it's like this." However, before he could speak, Wang Yuer's eyes flashed, and she ran to young Master Long in a panic, saying, "Young Master, you have to uphold justice for this little girl." As she spoke, she used her charm technique slightly. Young Master Long was immediately enchanted, his eyes filled with admiration, and then patted his chest proudly. "Don't be afraid, with me here, no one dares to bully you." "Thank you, young master." Wang Yuer looked at him gratefully. Her charming eyes were like silk, seducing one's soul. "Little demoness." Qin Feiyang cursed. "Get used to it." Young Master Hao patted his shoulder and sighed. He had lived with Wang Yuer since he was young, so he had a certain immunity to Wang Yuer's charm technique. But the others couldn't. At this moment, all the men present looked at Wang Yuer, as if their souls had left their bodies. That young Master Long was even more obsessed with the charm technique, unable to extricate himself. At the same time, Wang Yuer glanced at everyone, and finally her gaze fell on Qin Feiyang and young Master Hao. Her gaze was somewhat thought-provoking. Looking at Wang Yuer's gaze, young Master Hao inexplicably felt flustered, and transmitted his voice. "Brother Mu, I have an ominous premonition." "Me too," Qin Feiyang muttered. Both of them secretly became vigilant. Because this Wang Yuer could do anything. Wang Yuer suddenly retracted her gaze and looked at young Master Long with a charming smile. "Young Master, didn't you want to uphold justice for me? Why aren't you saying anything?" Yes. Young Master Long suddenly came back to his senses, and then nodded repeatedly. Looking at the 4 guards, he said angrily, You 4 men actually bullied a woman in broad daylight. This is too much. Killing intent flashed in young Master Long's eyes, and he said without turning his head, "Miss, tell me, how should we deal with them?" "It's up to you," Wang Yuer said weakly. Young Master Long laughed coldly and waved his hand. "Break their legs for this young master." Immediately, the group of guards behind him swarmed forward with cruel smiles on their faces. There were more than a dozen of them, and their cultivations ranged from 3 to 5-star War Master. "Sis, isn't this too much?" Young Master Hao sent a sound transmission, sweeping his gaze across the guards, his brows tightly knitted. "Humph. You asked for it." Chapter 981. More than a dozen guards looked ferocious. Wang Yuer revealed 2 sweet dimples, looking extremely charming. She was a typical little witch. Young Master Long gritted his teeth, as if he had a feud with Qin Feiyang and Wang Yuer. Seeing this situation, the surrounding crowd kept retreating, afraid that they would be implicated. The atmosphere at the scene was extremely tense. Qin Feiyang and Wang Yuer looked at each other, and couldn't help but raise their eyebrows. Young Master Hao looked at those guards and said, "Let me tell you, you'd better not provoke me. You still dare to be arrogant when you're about to die?" Young Master Long looked surprised and then said to those guards, "Be gentle, don't kill them. I want to have fun today." "Okay." More than a dozen guards nodded, their faces full of mockery and ridicule. "There are so many people who want to die." Young Master Hao's eyes turned cold, and his saint aura roared in all directions. Those dozen guards were immediately imprisoned on the spot. He is actually a battle saint." Young Master Long was shocked. Under Young Master Hao's saint aura, those guards felt as if they were in the abyss, and their bodies turned cold. "I said, don't provoke me." Young Master Hao roared, and his saint aura suddenly surged. More than a dozen guards exploded on the spot, and blood splattered in the sky. Everyone's faces turned pale with fright. Wang Yuo was also shocked. Obviously, she didn't expect Young Master Hao to kill them directly. Only Qin Feiyang looked as if nothing had happened. Although he hadn't known Young Master Hao for long, he had already known Young Master Hao's character. Don't be fooled by Young Master Hao's usual sloppy appearance. In fact, there was an inviolable arrogance in his bones. Therefore, when dealing with this person, one had to use the right method, or one would get into trouble. And this Young Master Long, relying on the power behind him, repeatedly provoked him. As the son of the Chief Tower Master, he definitely couldn't tolerate it. "How dare you? How dare you kill my guards? Do you know who I am? Do you know how big a mistake you have made?" Young Master Long didn't realize that he had hit an iron plate this time. After coming back to his senses, he immediately shouted at Young Master Hao in a stern voice. "You're still excited?" Young Master Hao raised his eyebrows, crossed his arms in front of his chest, and laughed. "You are the first one who dares to talk to me like this. I have to admire your courage. Who do you think you are?" Young Master Long was not to be outdone. Qin Feiyang frowned. Young Master Hao had already displayed his strength, yet this person still dared to continue challenging him? It seemed like this Young Master Long really had someone backing him up. "Who am I?" In the meantime, Young Master Hao was stunned. As the son of the dignified Chief Tower Master, when had he ever been humiliated like this? Was this person tired of living? Murderous intent flashed in his eyes as he landed in front of Young Master Long. "What do you want to do?" This sudden action caused Young Master Long to panic a little. "What are you trying to do? What do you think?" Young Master Hao laughed and raised his hand to slap Young Master Long's face. Furthermore, he used half of his strength. But even if it was only half of his strength, it was still not something that Young Master Long could withstand. Because Young Master Long was only a battle emperor. There was no suspense. Accompanied by a miserable howl, Young Master Long flew out like a meteorite, crashing into the city gate behind him, blood spurting out wildly. Half of his face instantly swelled up, and a blood-red palm print was extremely eye-catching. "You actually dare to hit me?" He laid on the ground and looked at Young Master Hao in disbelief. "So what if I hit you? Let me tell you, to be able to let me slap you, that is the accumulated merit of your ancestors. You should go back and burn incense." Young Master Hao said in disdain. "How preposterous. I will definitely not let you off. Young Master Long spat out a mouthful of blood. He was angered by young Master Hao's words. Then, he got up in a sorry state and looked at Wang Yuer. Miss, don't be afraid. Come with me first. I'll bring you to settle the score with them later. You'd better pray for yourself. Wang Yuer chuckled, and then entered the city without looking back. What do you mean? Young Master Long was stunned. Can't you tell? She's with us. She's just teasing you. You really took it seriously. You're really stupid. Young Master Hao shook his head and sneered. After saying that, he chased after Wang Yuer. You're still too young. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and patted young Master Long's shoulder. He shook his head and smiled, then followed him into the city. Teasing me? Young Master Long was stunned, unable to regain his senses for a long time. A moment later, he looked at the crowd around him and asked, Are they really together? Everyone nodded. Young Master Long immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation and roared. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? You didn't ask. And you didn't give us a chance to speak, everyone muttered in their hearts. At the same time, they were very nervous. Qin Feiyang and the other two did not understand young Master Long, but they did. Not only did this person have a backer, he was also narrow-minded. No one dared to offend him. Young Master Long's hands were tightly clenched together as he looked at the backs of Qin Feiyang and the other two. The killing intent in his eyes was undisguised. Just you wait. I will let you know the consequences of offending this young master, he muttered, then opened the teleportation gate and left. Only then did the people gathered here heave a sigh of relief. Following that, they began to discuss in low voices. To even dare to hit young Master Long. What kind of background did these three people have? Moreover, under the deliberate spread of the news, this matter spread from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100, and very quickly. Everyone in Qinghai City knew about it. They were all shocked and in disbelief. On a bustling street, Qin Feiyang and the other two walked side by side. When the pedestrians who came and went saw them, they couldn't help but take a few more glances. It spread throughout Qinghai City so quickly. It really is as the saying goes, good things don't go out, but bad things travel 1,000 miles. Young Master Hao shook his head. Qin Feiyang laughed. This also means that young Master Long's background is not small. No matter how great his background is, can he compare to me? Young Master Hao disdained. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. In this forgotten continent, other than the Mu family, there really wasn't any hedonistic son who dared to compare family background with young Master Hao. Young Master Hao looked at Wang Yu, who was walking in the middle, and frowned. Sis, you've caused enough trouble, shouldn't you tell us now? Why did you bring us to Qinghai City? I'm causing trouble? Wang Yuer laughed out of anger and said. From what you're saying, you're blaming me. Did I say that? Young Master Hao had an innocent look on his face. Humph. Don't think that I don't know what you guys want to do. Let me give you a piece of advice. All of you better behave yourselves. Wang Yuer coldly snorted. Young Master Hao said powerlessly. Yes, 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 you're the best, you're the biggest, you can say it now. Didn't I say it already? We came to Qinghai City to prepare for going to Qinghai City. According to what I heard last night, Qinghai City is very big, and there are very few islands. Without an island, we won't be able to land. So for safety's sake, before we go, we must first buy a few water avoidance pearls. Wang Yuer said. And Wang Yuer's attentiveness once again made Qin Feiyang have a whole new level of respect for her. Indeed, water avoidance pearls were indispensable when going on an adventure in the sea, because there was a lot of water pressure in the deep sea. If one accidentally fell into the deep sea, it would be extremely dangerous. Everyone knew that. Not only were there powerful sea beasts lurking in the deep sea, but the water pressure would also affect one's strength and cause inconvenience. But it would be different with water avoidance pearls. The water avoidance pearls could isolate the water pressure, allowing one to be as relaxed in the deep sea as on land. Water avoidance pearls? Young Master Hao frowned and said. Then why didn't you say so earlier? The old man has a lot of them. I'll just go and ask him for a few. Wang Yuer said. He won't give them to you. Why? Young Master Hao was suspicious. Don't you understand? This time, Your father asked us to come to Qinghai City to train you. So not to mention your father, even if you go to Gongsun Bay or your friends, they won't give you water avoidance pearls. Wang Yue glared at him angrily. She had never seen such a stupid person, who still didn't understand the situation. Is that so? Young Master Hao was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded with a wry smile. In fact, young Master Hao wasn't stupid, but he just didn't use the right path. And now it seemed that the Chief Tower Master's worries were reasonable. If he didn't train him, his future would be ruined. After all this time, I'm the one who implicated you? Young Master Hao looked at the two of them with a stunned expression. What do you think? Wang Yue rolled her eyes at young Master Hao, then stopped a passerby and asked, Brother, how do I get to the trading pavilion? It's 2 blocks ahead and around the corner. The passerby said in a hurry, and ran away as if he was running for his life. The three of them looked at each other. Young Master Hao frowned and said, Why do I feel that in his eyes we are a bit of a plague? Not a bit. We are. It seems that young Master Long is really not simple. Qin Feiyang said. So what? He'd better not provoke us again, or I'll send him to hell. Young Master Hao's eyes flashed coldly. A moment later, the three of them entered the trading pavilion. Compared to the trading pavilions in Divine City, the scale of the trading pavilions here was much smaller. The whole building only had 3 floors, and the decoration was very old. But after all, it was the only trading pavilion in the Qinghai region, so there were many people coming in and out. Greetings, Mississippi. Greetings, young masters. A woman in red came up and bowed to the three of them. Wang Yue said, Do you have a water-repelling pearl here? Yes. The woman in red nodded, not surprised at all, because most people came to the trading pavilion for the water-repelling pearl. Wang Yue was delighted and asked, How much is it? Miss, this is your first time here, right? We don't sell the water-repelling pearl. We only auction it. The highest bidder gets it, and we only auction 5 a day. The woman in red smiled. You're auctioning this thing? You're not too kind. You're clearly taking advantage of the situation. Young Master Hao said unhappily. Wang Yue also frowned and was a little dissatisfied. The water-repelling pearl was very precious and rare in the eyes of others, but for people like young Master Hao and Wang Yue, it couldn't be more ordinary. This was the difference in values between people of different levels. This is the rule set by the higher-ups. We can only follow it. Please understand. The woman in red smiled apologetically. People who stayed in the trading pavilion all year round were definitely better at reading people than others. From the conversation between young Master Hao and young Master Hao, she had already guessed that the 3 people in front of her must be extraordinary, so her attitude was more polite. It's okay. Wang Yue waved her hand and smiled. She asked, Is there an auction today? Yes. It starts in an hour. If you're not in a hurry, you can stay and watch. Because when we auction the water-repelling pearl, we will also auction other rare treasures that may be helpful for your trip to Qinghai. The woman in red said. Wang Yue was moved. She nodded and smiled. Then please arrange a private room for us. Okay. Please follow me. After the woman in red finished speaking, she turned around and was about to lead the way. But at this moment, a group of people rushed into the trading pavilion aggressively. The leader was young Master Long. There were more than 20 people behind him. They were all middle-aged burly men. Their bodies were burly, and the aura they emitted was between 7 and 9-star war masters. Compared to the guards at the city gate before, their overall strength was on a higher level. Beside young Master Long, there was an old man in black. This person was skinny and had white hair. There was no aura on his body at all. He looked weak, but his old eyes were filled with strands of astonishing sharpness. It's them. After young Master Long rushed into the trading pavilion, he glanced at the crowd. When he saw Qin Feiyang and the other 2, he immediately grabbed the 3 of them and said angrily. Immediately, the 20 or so guards and the old man in black looked at Qin Feiyang and the other 2. They're really not afraid of death. Young Master Hao muttered, a hint of killing intent flashing in the depths of his eyes. Young Master Long smiled contemptuously, looked at the 3 of them arrogantly and said, Now I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and kowtow to apologize. Kowtow and apologize? Who gave you the guts to say such words to me? Young Master Hao's face darkened. Haha. Young Master Long laughed arrogantly and said, Today not only do you have to kowtow and apologize, you also have to hand her over to me. Smelly bitch. How dare you play with me? I'll let you know the consequences of offending me later. His eyes swept across Wang Yuer's chest unscrupulously, full of lust and wickedness. Wang Yuer frowned and said indifferently, You will pay the price for this. Haha. This is my territory. What do you dare to do to me? You're not going to kneel, are you? All right. Cripple them for me. Young Master Long roared, and the 20 or so guards immediately rushed towards Qin Feiyang and the other two. Stop. But at this time, the woman in red stood up, looked at young Master Long, and said in a deep voice, Young Master Long, don't forget that this is the trading pavilion. If you have any personal grudges, please wait until they leave the trading pavilion. Is the trading pavilion that great? Get the hell out of my way, or I'll beat you up too. Young Master Long shouted arrogantly. How dare you? The woman in red's face sank. Pa. However, before she could finish her sentence, young Master Long took a step forward and slapped the woman in red's face. The woman in red was stunned. Although she was only a staff member of the trading pavilion and couldn't be compared to young Master Long, in Qinghai City, no one had ever dared to cause trouble in the trading pavilion. Not to mention the people in the trading pavilion. Young Master Long waved his hand and sneered. Bitch, I'll ask you one more time. Are you going to get out of my way or not? They are guests of my trading pavilion. Don't even think about touching them. I will immediately report this matter to the pavilion master and ask him to make a decision. The woman in red took out an image crystal. You're courting death. Young Master Long was furious. He slapped away the image crystal of the woman in red, and then slapped her again. The woman in red's beautiful face turned pale. Young Master Long was a famous playboy in Qinghai City, so she understood him. Although he was usually very arrogant, he was still honest every time he came to the trading pavilion. But he didn't expect him to be so crazy today. You've gone too far. Chapter 982. Young Master Long raised his eyebrows, looked at Qin Feiyang's hand and laughed. Do you want to be the hero to save the beauty? His smile was somewhat frightening. The woman in red cursed in her heart, and hurriedly sent a sound transmission to Qin Feiyang. Young Master, quickly stop. He is not someone you can provoke. Qin Feiyang laughed faintly. This matter was originally caused by us, speaking of which we have implicated you, so let me end it. He did not send a sound transmission. The woman in red was stunned. This kind of confident tone and arrogant demeanor was not something an adventurer should have. Could it be that these three people had a great background? However, young Master Long seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world, as he raised his head and laughed loudly. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Is it that funny? If it's not funny, would this young master laugh? I think you're just here to be funny. End it. How do you want to end it? Kill me. Do you have the guts? Let me tell you, as long as I lose a single strand of hair here, you can forget about leaving this Qinghai City. Haha. After young Master Long finished speaking, he laughed out loud again, his eyes filled with contempt. Is that so? The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted, his 5 fingers slightly exerted force, and a gotcha sound immediately resounded. He crushed young Master Long's wrist. Ah! Young Master Long, who was laughing, immediately let out a pig-like howl. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead, and his face instantly turned pale. Quickly save the young master. The 20-odd guards' expression suddenly changed as they rushed towards Qin Feiyang. Scram! Qin Feiyang roared, his holy might roared, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. In an instant, as if struck by lightning, those guards were all sent flying, spitting out blood as they screamed miserably. He is also a war saint. The onlookers turned pale with fright. The black-clothed old man, who had been silent the entire time, couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying pressure rushed out from the black-clothed old man's body. This was also the holy might, and it was even stronger than Qin Feiyang. 2-star war saint. He glanced at Wang Yu and young Master Hao, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said solemnly, Qinghai City is not a place where you can behave atrociously. As soon as he finished, the black-clothed old man took a step forward. He raised his aged hand and went straight for Qin Feiyang's chest. Qin Feiyang looked at the black-clothed old man, with a hint of disdain in his eyes. Boom! And just as the black-clothed old master holy might, the black-clothed old man was immediately imprisoned, unable to move at all. This holy might. Everyone's to master their eyes. She was also a venerable. His cultivation his. They had thought that Shen Feiyun would definitely fly into a rage when he saw his son being beaten in public, but they didn't expect him to reveal such an expression. Wang Yu frowned and sent a sound transmission. Elder brother Shen, we are here to gain experience. Don't reveal our identities for the time being. Experience? Shen Feiyun was stunned. What was going on? Why would a young miss who was admired by countless people, a young master who lived like a prince, suddenly come out to gain experience, and even come to Qinghai City? Seeing this, young Master Long was extremely anxious and said angrily, Father, what are you doing? Quickly teach them a lesson. Bastard. Shen Feiyun was furious and stepped forward to slap young Master Long's face. Everyone was stunned. What the hell was going on? It was fine if he didn't stand up for young Master Long. But why did he have to teach young Master Long a lesson? Looks like they really are big shots from the Divine City. The old man in black muttered, his heart filled with lingering fear. Even the city lord was so fearful. One could imagine how great the background of these three young people was. Fortunately, the city lord had arrived in time, otherwise this matter would have blown up. And without any suspense, young Master Long was also stunned by this slap. When he came back to his senses, other than disbelief, he still had a questioning look on his face. But Shen Feiyun ignored him, looked at Wang Yu and said, Can you give me some face and let my son go this time? I can let him go, but remember, discipline him more in the future. After all, not everyone will give you this face. After young Master Hao finished speaking, he nodded to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang frowned. To be honest, he already had the intention to kill young Master Long. However, since young Master Hao had already promised Shen Feiyun, he couldn't refute young Master Hao's face, and finally let young Master Long go. Father, what's wrong with you? Young Master Long ran to Shen Feiyun's side, as if he was running for his life, and asked suspiciously. Shut up. Shen Feiyun shouted coldly. Then, he looked at young Master Hao and said, When I go back, I will teach him a lesson, but you guys better not cause trouble in Qinghai City. Young Master Hao said indifferently, Do we look like people who would take the initiative to cause trouble? It's best if that's the case. Shen Feiyun looked at the three of them with deep meaning, and then did not say another word, and turned to leave with young Master Long and the others. What's going on? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Shen Feiyun obviously knew the identity of young Master Hao and Wang Yu, but why was his attitude so cold? He could even faintly catch a trace of disgust in Shen Feiyun's eyes. At the same time, the surrounding crowd looked at each other in dismay. They originally thought that there would be a good show to watch, but who would have thought that it would end just like that? And when they looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two again, their eyes were filled with reverence. The red-clothed lady who received Qin Feiyang and the other two was the same. She had guessed that the three of them might have extraordinary origins, but she didn't expect that even the city lord would be so polite to them. Who? The red-clothed lady took a deep breath and calmed the emotions in her heart. Then, she looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two and bowed. I'm sorry I frightened you guys. Wang Yu said, We were the ones who caused you to be slapped by him. We should be the ones apologizing. Miss is too polite. Anyone who comes to the trading pavilion is an honored guest of our trading pavilion. Of course, we have to do our best to protect the safety of our guests. The red-clothed lady laughed. Qin Feiyang and the other two were surprised. They didn't expect the trading pavilion of Qinghai City to be so protective of their guests. If it was the trading pavilion of the Divine City, the people of the trading pavilion would probably only stand behind young Master Long Fuanshan was the best example. Back then, Qin Feiyang and the others entered the trading pavilion. Later, Guoming brought people to cause trouble. In the end, Fu Anshan helped the people of the Scorpion tribe to bully them. Let's go. I'll take you to the VIP room, the red-clothed lady said. Thank you. Wang Yuer nodded and smiled. Thus, the three of them walked to the second floor under the guidance of the red-clothed lady. Brother Hao, didn't you say that the pavilion master of Qinghai City's trading pavilion, Fu Xiong, is Fu Anshan's son? Qin Feiyang frowned. That's right. Young Master Hao nodded and asked suspiciously. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang said. It's nothing. I just feel that Fu Xiong's management is pretty good. There was an old saying that went like this, like father like son. Before coming to the trading pavilion, he thought that Fu Xiong was the same as Fu Anshan, a petty person who only cared about benefits. But now, it seemed that wasn't the case. Because the quality of the staff was related to the person in charge. The better the quality of the person in charge, the better the quality of the staff. Although he hadn't seen Fu Xiong with his own eyes, from the red-clothed lady's character, it wasn't difficult to see that Fu Xiong should be a good person. Therefore, it was this contrast that made Qin Feiyang unable to adapt for a while. Of course. Chapter 983. City Lord's Mansion. In a certain hall, Shen Feiyun was leaning against a chair, still holding a wine pot in his hand. The old man in black stood respectfully at the side. As for young Master Long, he sat opposite Shen Feiyun with his legs crossed. He looked at his father with a trace of disgust. A moment passed. The old man in black couldn't help but ask, City Lord, who exactly are they? Shen Feiyun remained silent. Another moment passed. He raised his head and looked at young Master Long, and said, Their identities are not simple, don't provoke them anymore. Provoke? Young Master Long raised his eyebrows and said angrily, Are you blind? Can't you see that they provoke me first? Impudent! Who are you talking to? Shen Feiyun was furious. I'm talking to an alcoholic. No, calling you an alcoholic is too flattering. Do you know how many people are talking about you behind your back? You're a good for nothing. I feel embarrassed to have a father like you, do you know that? Young Master Long slapped his face and said in disgust, Bastard! Shen Feiyun was unable to restrain his anger, and went forward to slap him. Young Master Long was immediately sent flying, crashing into a stone pillar behind him, blood gushing out of his mouth. However, he was not afraid at all. He stood up and shouted, Hit me, continue. Other than hitting me, what else can you do? If you have the ability, then beat me to death today. Do you think I don't dare? Shen Feiyun was furious, and walked towards young Master Long angrily. Seeing that the situation was not good, the old man in black hurriedly went forward and grabbed Shen Feiyun, saying, Lord, even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs, calm down. Young Master Long said, Uncle Nye, let him go. Anyway, I don't want to live anymore, so I might as well let him beat me to death. He can only find a sense of accomplishment on me. Young Master stopped talking. My lord, please calm down. We're all family, why do you have to make such a fuss? The old man in black tried his best to persuade him. Family? Young Master Long sneered and said, Seeing me being beaten up, but not even daring to let out a fart, is this still a family? I think they're worse than outsiders. What do you know? Do you know who they are? Shen Feiyun shouted. I don't know who they are, but I know that I have a cowardly and incompetent father. Young Master Long sneered. Bastard! The furious Shen Feiyun blasted the black-clothed old man away with a palm strike, and slapped young Master Long's face. I'll tell you who they are now. The person who killed your guards at the city gate is the son of the chief tower master, young Master Hao. That woman is Wang Su's granddaughter, and the daughter of the Saint Peak Master, and the Sanctum Master. As for the person who crushed your wrist, he is called Ancestor Mu. He is the direct disciple of the chief pagoda master. He is also engaged to Wang Su's granddaughter. He and young Master Hao are like brothers. Tell me now, how can I help you? Chief Pagoda Master shouted. What? He actually has such a great background. The black-clothed old man was dumbfounded when he heard this. Young Master Long was also dumbstruck. Who would have thought that the origins of these three people would be so terrifying? the son of the chief tower master, the tower master's personal disciple. She was the daughter of the Saint Peak Master and the Saint Tower Master. Any one of these identities was enough to kill him in seconds. I told you not to cause trouble, but you didn't listen. Now you've hit an iron plate? Let me tell you, if it weren't for my face, you would have been dead long ago. You really are a good-for-nothing. Old Nya, watch him for me. Before young Master Hao and the others leave, don't let him take half a step out of the city lord's mansion. Shen Feiyan scolded angrily, and then instructed the black-clothed old man, before leaving angrily with the wine jug. Yes, I'm a good-for-nothing. But have you ever taught me well? Have you ever cared about me? You only know how to drink all day and do nothing. I'm like this because of you. You'd better drink yourself to death as soon as possible. Young Master Long roared at Shen Feiyan's back. The black-clothed old man sighed and said, Young Master, the Lord also has his difficulties. You should speak less. Humph. Young Master Long snorted coldly, his eyes flashing with shocking murderous intent, and said sternly, So what if he's the son of the chief tower master? If he dares to provoke me, I will still make him pay the price. The black-clothed old man's face changed and hurriedly said, Young Master, this won't do. Please don't act recklessly. Why do you care? Scram! Young Master Long pushed the black-clothed old man away, opened the teleportation door, and walked in without looking back. Trading pavilion. The woman in red brought Qin Feiyang and the other two into a VIP room. The VIP room was about 5 or 6 meters long, and the decorations were simple and elegant. In the middle, there was a tea table, surrounded by a few chairs neatly arranged. In front of him was a transparent floor-to-ceiling window, allowing him to clearly see the situation outside the auction house. Please take a seat. After the woman in red finished speaking, she walked to the tea table. There was a tea set on the tea table. She squatted on the ground and prepared to make tea. Wang Yue laughed. You can go and do your work. We can do it ourselves. All right, I'll keep guard outside. If there's anything, just call me. The woman in red was very sensible. She got up and walked out of the VIP room, closing the door. The auction would begin in a while. Qin Feiyang glanced at the auction house, then laid on the chair, and closed his eyes to take a nap. Suddenly, young Master Hao sighed. I really didn't expect Shen Feiyan to become like this. Yeah. This is too different from the Shen Feiyan we know. Wang Yue nodded. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes, looked at the two of them, and asked, What kind of person was Shen Feiyan in the past? Young Master Hao said, A person respected by the world, but also a pitiful person. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang became more and more curious. Back then, he was extremely talented, and together with Gong Sunbei, they were known as the two heroes of the main pagoda. His future was limitless. At that time, both of them wanted to become my father's disciple. But you also know that the main pagoda has rules. One must obtain the inheritance of a certain main pagoda master in the land of inheritance, in order to become the current main pagoda master's disciple. Later, my father brought them to the land of inheritance, but the person who obtained the inheritance in the end was Gong Sunbei. Young Master Hao said. Qin Feiyang said in surprise. Just because of this blow, he left the divine city? Of course not. As a monstrous figure, how could his temperament be so bad? The biggest reason why he left the divine city was that his woman had an affair with Gong Sunbei. Young Master Hao said. What? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. Surprised, right? I was the same as you at that time. But in fact, this was a misunderstanding. Young Master Hao said. What misunderstanding? Qin Feiyang asked. At that time, Gong Sunbei and Shen Feiyan were rivals and friends in the main pagoda. And the two of them were indeed fated. They fell in love with the same woman at the same time, and the three of them had a very good relationship. In the end, the woman chose Shen Feiyan, and they were already at the point of marriage. But just a few days after Shen Feiyan returned from the land of inheritance, one evening, he found that woman and Gong Sunbei together in a secluded valley in the main pagoda's holy land, and they were whispering sweet nothings to each other. Shen Feiyan thought that the two of them were secretly having an affair behind his back. He also thought that the woman was vain. When she saw that Gong Sunbei had become the main pagoda master's disciple, she took the initiative to throw herself at him. So in a rage, Shen Feiyan directly killed the woman and fought with Gong Sunbei. In the end, even my father was alarmed. Young Master Hao said. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "It's not Shen Feiyan's fault. If there was nothing, why would Gong Sunbei and that woman meet in private?" I thought so too at that time. But in the end, under my father's interrogation, Gong Sunbei told the truth. The reason was that Shen Feiyan didn't get the inheritance and couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. After returning from the land of inheritance, he drank all day long to drown his sorrows. That woman was anxious, so she went to find Gong Sunbei and asked him to persuade Shen Feiyun. At that time, they were whispering sweet nothings to each other purely because that woman was pregnant with Shen Feiyun's child. Her body was a little weak, and she almost tripped. Gong Sunbei went up to support her and told her to be careful in the future. Unexpectedly, Shen Feiyan happened to see it, and the misunderstanding arose. Young Master Hao sighed. "I see." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and asked, "Does Shen Feiyan know the truth?" "Yes." Young Master Hao nodded. Qin Feiyang said, "Then he must be very regretful. After all, that woman is already pregnant with his child." "Yes, very regretful." But because of this, he resented Gong Sunbei even more. Because in his opinion, if Gong Sunbei hadn't met that woman in private, this tragedy wouldn't have happened. At that time, he might have really been overwhelmed with grief and indignation. He even went to look for my father to reason with him. You know my father's personality. Seeing that he was being unreasonable, not only did he not help him, he even fiercely reprimanded him. Because of this, Shen Feiyan even hated my father, thinking that my father was biased toward Gong Sunbei. Then in a fit of anger he left the divine city. There has been no news of him all these years, but I didn't expect him to be in Qinghai City, and I didn't expect his son to be so old. Young Master Hao said. Because of a small misunderstanding, he mistakenly killed his own woman, an unborn child. Such a blow, no matter who it was, would probably break down. No wonder he became like this. But not long ago, I noticed that the way he looked at you seemed to still hate your father? Qin Feiyang said. I noticed it too. I think he has fallen into it, and will find it very difficult to walk out. My father is the same. He knew that Shen Feiyun was blinded by grief and anger, but he didn't counsel him. Instead, he scolded him. Isn't this aggravating the conflict? Forget it, let's not talk about it. This is their business. Let them solve it themselves. Young Master Hao waved his hand. Qin Feiyang sighed. Chapter 985. The middle-aged man lowered his head to look at young Master Long, as if it was very difficult for him to make a decision, and sighed. Nephew, why are you doing this? Fine, since you are so sensible and filial, Uncle will help you this time. Thank you, Uncle Fu. Young Master Long was overjoyed. The middle-aged man smiled and said, Don't kneel, quickly get up. Young Master Long got up and returned to his seat, asking, Uncle, do you have any brilliant ideas? Let me think about it first. The middle-aged man pondered. Time passed by just like that. Suddenly, the middle-aged man's eyes flashed as he stood up and said, Wait a moment, I'll be right back. Without waiting for young Master Long's response, he hurriedly walked out of the lounge. In less than 100 breaths, he returned with an exquisite jade box in his hand. With this thing, I guarantee that you will succeed. The middle-aged man sat on the chair and smiled, then pushed the jade box in front of young Master Long. Young Master Long grabbed the jade box and opened the lid. At first, a trace of suspicion crawled up in his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a ray of light. At the same time, in the VIP room, Qin Feiyang and the other two were sipping tea while chatting, waiting for the auction to begin. Dong! Finally, with the sound of a bell, the auction began. In addition to the various VIP rooms, the outside was already packed with people. When the bell rang, the originally noisy auction house immediately quieted down. Shwa! Immediately after, a woman in white appeared out of thin air on the high platform in the middle of the auction house. Looking around at the audience, the woman in white smiled and said, I believe that most of you are no stranger to me, so I don't need to introduce myself and will directly start the auction. As soon as she finished, the woman in white waved her hand, and a palm-sized boat appeared out of thin air in front of her. The treasure light was hazy, and the aura was astonishing. This ship is called the Saint King ship. It is a sacred artifact that can isolate the wind and waves of the sea and stop the attacks of the saint beasts. It can be said that as long as you have it, everyone can basically move unimpeded in the outer sea. The woman in white introduced with a smile. Sacred artifact. In an instant, the entire auction house was in an uproar. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. He turned to look at Wang Yu and said, "Even a sacred artifact, isn't this too much?" "Don't be surprised." Wang Yu rolled her eyes at him. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. He was actually despised by this woman. Looking at Qin Feiyang's expression, young Master Hao shook his head with a smile and said, "Brother Mu, this time, sister really isn't targeting you." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Although saint artifacts are precious, the Divine City's exchange pavilion will auction off one or two every few years. Perhaps he would really fight this person to the end. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "I believe that not many people in Qinghai City can afford this price. Just announce the results." "Crazy, but he does have the right to be arrogant." People murmured. On the one hand, they were a little unhappy when they heard Qin Feiyang's words, because Qin Feiyang was talking about Qinghai City. In other words, this included them as well. But on the other hand, they were powerless to refute, because the other party did have the qualifications to look down on them. Then there was young Master Long. He stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, his hands clenched tightly together, his eyes spewing thick flames of anger. He was feeling that his self-esteem was being ruthlessly trampled on. His face was about to distort. 101 billion. Suddenly, he gritted his teeth and roared. Obviously, he had reached his limit and didn't dare to continue. In other words, this was the last time he would raise the price. In fact, he was just gambling. If Qin Feiyang didn't raise the price, then he would win and regain some face. But if Qin Feiyang continued to raise the price, then he would lose completely. "Continue?" Young Master Hao frowned, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said in a low voice, "Brother, although the Saint King ship is a sacred artifact, we don't have to have it. Why don't we just forget about it? If we just let it go like this, I'm afraid some people will laugh at me for the rest of my life." Qin Feiyang said, glancing at Wang Yu as he spoke. Wang Yu raised her eyebrows and said, "Can you stop being so sarcastic? I'm just stating a fact." Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "Enemies, you'd better get married quickly, lest you fight all day long." Young Master Hao said helplessly, "Get lost." Qin Feiyang and Wang Yu shouted at young Master Hao almost at the same time, their eyes full of hostility. Okay. I'm being nosy, you guys continue." Young Master Hao pursed his lips. He could tell that when the two of them were quarreling, bystanders must not interfere. Otherwise, they would definitely attract trouble. "Not going to raise the price. Looks like I won." Seeing Qin Feiyang not speaking for a long time, young Master Long muttered to himself. He finally won back a loss. 110 billion. However, before he could let out a sigh of relief, Qin Feiyang's voice sounded again, echoing throughout the auction house for a long time. "Bastard." Young Master Long immediately went crazy and smashed the floor-to-ceiling window in front of him with a punch. The people in the auction house couldn't help but look at him sympathetically. But the more it was like this, the more the anger in his heart burned, and the more hatred he had for Qin Feiyang, the more intense it became. However, he seemed to be a little afraid of the white-clothed woman on the high platform, so he didn't make a move here. "You're good, we'll see." After saying those words, he turned around and strode out of the VIP room. "Congratulations to little brother for winning the Saint King ship. Men, send it to little brother." The white-clothed woman immediately announced the result. Soon, the red-clothed woman who had received Qin Feiyang and the other two quickly walked up to the high platform, took the Saint King ship from the white-clothed woman, and returned the way she came. "Next, let's auction the second item." This is a 10,000-year-old dragon flame grass. The starting price is 3,000 gold coins, and each increment must be no less than 100 gold coins. The white-clothed woman took out a crimson medicinal herb and introduced it briefly before continuing the auction. Dragon flame grass. Qin Feiyang glanced at the medicinal herb with a surprised expression. The dragon flame grass was considered a rare medicinal herb, and it was also needed to refine the 9 transformation dragon blood pill. Dong! Just as he was about to bid, there was a knock on the door. "Come in," Qin Feiyang said. The door opened, and the red-clothed woman walked in with the Saint King ship. Qin Feiyang glanced at the Saint King ship casually, then pointed to Wang Yuer and said with a smile, "Just give it to her." "Huh." The red-clothed woman was stunned. She had spent more than 100 billion, and she was giving it to someone else just like that? The world of the rich is so hard to understand. The red-clothed woman muttered to herself and respectfully handed the Saint King ship to Wang Yuer. Wang Yuer was stunned. A saint artifact was definitely a supreme treasure for those below the combat emperor realm. She was just saying it, but she didn't expect Qin Feiyang to really give it to her. She glanced at Qin Feiyang and frowned. "Aren't you afraid that I'll take it for myself? It's just a saint artifact. It doesn't matter. Of course, if you really feel bad about it, you can go and persuade your parents and grandfather to cancel our engagement when you go back." Qin Feiyang smiled. Wang Yuer's expression froze, and she said angrily, "Bastard, am I so annoying?" She should have been happy to hear that, because she didn't want to marry Qin Feiyang. But now she didn't know why, but she felt a little uncomfortable. Qin Feiyang said, "It's not that I'm annoying. It's just that our personalities don't match." Seeing Qin Feiyang's indifferent expression, the anger in Wang Yuer's heart rose. "Don't worry, I don't fancy a stinky man like you. Once we return to the deity's lake, I'll immediately persuade them." Divine City. The red-clothed woman's eyes trembled. These 3 people were actually from Divine City. No wonder even Shen Feiyan didn't dare to offend them. However, the relationship between these 2 seemed a little complicated. But as a smart person, she knew what to care and what not to care. She looked at Qin Feiyang and asked with a smile, "Young master, do you want to pay now or later?" Chapter 989. Stop the auction. What the hell is going on? Outside the auction house. When the staff went out and said that today's auction was over, it immediately caused a huge commotion. Everyone was discussing, but the staff did not give any explanation. After everyone left, the guards of the trading pavilion immediately sealed off all the entrances of the auction house, not allowing anyone to set foot in. At the same time, lounge. The staff of the trading pavilion quickly brought over 4 chairs. Young Master Hao helped Qin Feiyang over and sat on a chair in the middle. Then he sat beside Qin Feiyang. The Phantom Snake Emperor also turned into an exquisite bracelet and coiled around Qin Feiyang's wrist. Wang Yuer sat on the other side of Qin Feiyang. Fu Xiong looked at the empty chair and did not dare to sit down. He stood at the side with a look of fear. For a moment, the 4 of them did not speak, and the lounge fell into dead silence. About 100 breaths passed. A middle-aged man reeking of alcohol hurriedly ran into the lounge. It was Shen Feiyan. When he saw young Master Long lying in a pool of blood, his body could not help but tremble, and his hands could not help but clench tightly. Shua! Suddenly, he raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang and the other 2, a cold light surging in his eyes, and said, "Who killed him?" "Me," Wang Yuer said indifferently, without the slightest fear, looking straight at Shen Feiyun. Boom! As soon as Wang Yuer finished speaking, a terrifying killing intent roared out from Shen Feiyun's body. Young Master Hao raised his eyebrows and said, "Shen Feiyan, before you act, think carefully. Don't use the people behind you to pressure me. You have to pay with your life for killing." Shen Feiyun shouted coldly. That terrifying killing intent turned into a stormy wave, pouncing towards Wang Yuer. Seeing this, Fu Xiong, who was at the side, glanced at Qin Feiyang and the other 2, then looked at Shen Feiyun, and a cold smile flashed in the depths of his eyes. "Humph!" Wang Yuer snorted coldly. The 9-star battle saint's holy aura surged out, and collided with Shen Feiyun's killing intent. A destructive wave of air suddenly appeared. Puff! Immediately, Wang Yuer spat out a mouthful of blood, and her face turned pale. Qin Feiyang and young Master Hao, who were standing next to him, also bore the brunt of the blast. They were blown away by the blast, and crashed into the wall behind them like meteorites. Boom! With two loud bangs, two large holes appeared in the wall. The two of them fell directly into the auction hall outside. Their bodies cracked and blood spurted out like a fountain. One had to know. Wang Yuer was a 9-star battle saint, and Shen Feiyun was clearly stronger than Wang Yuer. Therefore, how could Qin Feiyang and Yi Shiwen withstand the fluctuations of battle that were born from their confrontation? This strike was fatal. But in comparison, young Master Hao was slightly better. After all, he wasn't injured before. As for Qin Feiyang, the poison in his body had yet to be completely removed. If he were to suffer this fatal blow, it would undoubtedly be one disaster after another. At this moment, he lay on the shattered ground, not even having the strength to stand up. His consciousness was also fading away. Whoosh! In the meantime, seeing the situation of Qin Feiyang and young Master Hao, Wang Yuer's expression changed slightly. She quickly got up and landed beside them. Then she took out the healing elixir and stuffed it into their mouths. The elixir melted in their mouths and repaired their bodies. Their condition improved slightly. Whoosh! But at this moment, Shen Feiyun chased after them, full of murderous intent. Wang Yuer's face darkened and she shouted, "If you continue to be unreasonable, don't blame me for being rude. You killed my son, and said that I'm being unreasonable. Do you really think that you can do whatever you want here, just because you're Wang Su's granddaughter?" Shen Feiyun's eyes were like lightning, and his expression was extremely cold. He was like a god of death, making people tremble in fear. Young Master Hao's expression changed and he said to himself, "Oh no, he has been blinded by anger. Quickly send a message to my father for help. It's useless." Before we set off, Gongsun Bei told me that when we leave Divine City, no matter what danger we encounter, he won't give us any help. So now we can only rely on ourselves. Qin Feiyang struggled to get up and said in a low voice, "What?" Young Master Hao was stunned. "Isn't this old man too heartless?" Qin Feiyang glanced at young Master Hao and sent a sound transmission to Wang Yuer. "How strong is he?" "I'm not sure, but he's definitely a war king." Wang Yuer replied, her tone extremely solemn. "That's not good," Qin Feiyang muttered. If not for young Master Hao and Wang Yuer, it would have been fine. He could have entered the castle, and even if Shen Feiyun was heaven-defying, he wouldn't be able to do anything to him. But now, he could only stay outside and take the risk with the two of them. Suddenly, his brows raised slightly as he raised his head to look at Fu Xiong, who was standing in the lounge above. This person knew their identities, and even knew the whole story of young Master Long's poisoning. But why didn't he help? And Fu Xiong, who had been watching Wang Yuer and Shen Feiyun, suddenly realized that Qin Feiyang was looking at him. A trace of panic flashed past his eyes. Next, he pretended to have just reacted and shouted, "Shen Feiyun, what are you doing?" Following that, he took a step forward and stood in front of Shen Feiyun, protecting Qin Feiyang and the other two behind him. "Something's wrong." Qin Feiyang looked at Fu Xiong's back as his eyes flickered. He kept having the feeling that Fu Xiong's current actions were too deliberate. Shen Feiyun stopped in his tracks and sneered. "What am I doing? Of course it's to avenge my son." Fu Xiong said, "You don't have the right to mention the word revenge, because this matter is your son's fault to begin with." "My son's fault?" Shen Feiyun raised his eyebrows. "That's right. Your son poisoned the tea and almost poisoned Brother Mu. That's why Miss Yuer killed him in a fit of anger." Fu Xiong said, "Impossible. I've already told my son their true identities. He definitely won't harm them again." Shen Feiyun shook his head. "Do you think that your son will stop just like that? Go outside and ask. Who doesn't know that he's a narrow-minded person who will seek revenge for the smallest grievance?" Fu Xiong sneered. Shen Feiyun frowned. "You don't even know what kind of person your son is. Aren't you too incompetent as a father?" Fu Xiong said with undisguised sarcasm. Shen Feiyun clenched his fists and said in a deep voice, "Where's the evidence?" When the incident happened, a staff member of my trading pavilion happened to be present. When she wakes up, she will naturally tell you the truth. I'll go and check on her now. After Fu Xiong finished speaking, he flew into the lounge again and squatted beside the woman in red. He lowered his head and checked on the woman in red. But suddenly, he glanced at Qin Feiyang and the other two below from the corner of his eyes. A cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Immediately, a wisp of undetectable battle qi emerged from his fingertip and entered the heart of the woman in red like lightning. The unconscious red-clothed woman didn't even have the chance to scream before she died on the spot. And all of this was not seen by Qin Feiyang and the others, because the lounge was on the second floor, and the auction house was on the first floor. The sight of Qin Feiyang and the others would be affected. Moreover, when Fu Xiong made his move, he deliberately used his body to block the sight of Qin Feiyang and the others. Therefore, they didn't know that the woman in red had been killed. After killing the woman in red, the coldness in Fu Xiong's eyes became stronger, but he teleported to cover it up. Then, his face suddenly changed and he exclaimed, "How could this be?" "What?" Qin Feiyang and the other two were surprised. Fu Xiong turned to look at the three of them and murmured, "She's dead." "Impossible." Young Master Hao shook his head decisively. The woman in red's injuries were indeed very serious, but she had taken the heart-protecting pill and healing pill in time. Even if it couldn't heal the woman in red's injuries, at least it wouldn't be a problem to save her life. But how could she be dead? Wasn't there no evidence now? At the same time, Qin Feiyang looked at Fu Xiong, then looked at Shen Feiyun, and decisively opened a teleportation door. Then he grabbed Wang Yu with one hand and young Master Hao with the other, dragging the two of them, and rushed in without looking back. "Stop." When Shen Feiyun found out, he was furious. He suddenly raised his arm and slapped the air. A wave of battle qi emerged and rushed towards the teleportation door. With a bang, the teleportation door shattered on the spot, but Qin Feiyang and the other two had already disappeared. "Bastard, I won't forgive you." Shen Feiyun was mad with hatred. Fu Xiong's eyes flashed slightly, and he sighed. "Shen Feiyun, this matter is indeed your son's fault. You can't blame them. There are no witnesses. You can say whatever you want. Now I suspect that you are in cahoots with them." Shen Feiyun looked at Fu Xiong with an aggressive gaze. Fu Xiong's face turned cold. He pointed to an exit of the trading pavilion and shouted, "Simply unreasonable. Get out of the trading pavilion immediately. Just wait and see. If I find out that this matter has something to do with you, I will never let you off." Shen Feiyun snorted coldly, picked up young Master Long's corpse, turned around, and strode towards the exit. "Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be too arrogant. You know who they are in your heart. If you dare to touch them, you won't have a good ending." Fu Xiong sneered. "Even if the person who killed my son is the Heavenly King, I won't let it go," Shen Feiyun said without turning his head, his body full of killing intent. "Then let's wait and see," Fu Xiong muttered. After Shen Feiyun left the auction house, a bright smile immediately appeared on his face. Qinghai City, outside the city. In the sky above a forest, Qin Feiyang and the other two appeared out of thin air. It was the place where they landed when they came from the Divine City. As soon as they appeared, Qin Feiyang scanned the forest below vigilantly. As for Wang Yuer and young Master Hao, they were still in a state of shock. Phew! A moment later, Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and locked his gaze on a mountain peak not far away. The mountain peak was more than 5,000 feet tall and was lush with vegetation. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and swept up young Master Hao and Wang Yuer. He landed on the mountain peak and said, "Let's rest here first." The two of them finally came to their senses. Young Master Hao immediately said angrily, "The only witness is dead. Aren't we too unlucky? If I had known, I wouldn't have killed young Master Long on impulse." Wang Yuer sighed deeply and regretted it. Qin Feiyang glanced at the two of them and walked to the edge of the cliff. He looked down at the mountains and rivers below and pondered in silence. Young Master Hao looked at him suspiciously and walked forward to ask, "Brother Mu, what are you thinking about?" Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear. Young Master Hao looked at Wang Yu'er, and Wang Yu'er shrugged her shoulders in confusion. After a long time, suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said without turning his head, "It's right to kill young Master Long, because even if we leave him alive, he won't admit to poisoning us. He will only bite us back, and make our situation even more dangerous." The two of them were stunned. Thinking about it carefully, it made sense. Young Master Hao asked, "Then what should we do now? We haven't gotten the water avoidance pearl yet." "I have the water avoidance pearl. There's no need to think about it," Qin Feiyang said. "What? You have it? Then why didn't you say so earlier?" Wang Yu'er raised her eyebrows and was very unhappy. If Qin Feiyang had said that he had the water avoidance pearl, they wouldn't have gone to Qinghai City, and none of this would have happened. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and turned to look at Wang Yu'er. "Did you ask me?" Wang Yu'er said, "I didn't ask, but you can take the initiative to say it." "Why?" Qin Feiyang was also angry. Wang Yu'er said angrily, "Because we are a team. We have to work together." "Work together? Why does it sound so funny coming from your mouth?" Qin Feiyang sneered. Wang Yu'er gritted her teeth and roared, "Are you going to quarrel? If so, I'll accompany you to the end." All right, you're still in the mood to bicker at a time like this? Hurry up and think of a way. We can't be the scapegoat forever." Young Master Hao looked at the two of them helplessly. "I have no choice." Wang Yu'er snorted, turned her head to the side, and said in a strange tone, "Aren't some people very capable? Let him think." Qin Feiyang rubbed his temples and said weakly, "All right, I was wrong. I'll apologize to you, okay? I'm sorry." He had figured out this woman's character. If he didn't take the initiative to compromise, there would be no end to it. Therefore, it was better to be open-minded and apologize to earn some peace. Sure enough, seeing Qin Feiyang's apology, Wang Yu'er's face eased a lot. Young Master Hao shook his head and smiled bitterly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Brother Mu, you're the smartest one. Do you have any plan?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Young Master Hao was stunned and urged, "Tell me quickly." In fact, he just asked casually. He didn't expect that Qin Feiyang was really confident. Qin Feiyang said, "Let's check Fu Xiong first." "Why are you investigating him?" Qin Feiyang's words surprised young Master Hao greatly. "Yes, he helped us. Otherwise, we would have been killed by Shin Feiyan long ago." Wang Yu'er also looked confused. "You just look at appearances. And appearances are mostly illusions. I'm sure that Fu Xiong is definitely not that simple. And the woman in red died in such a strange way." Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. Young Master Hao and Wang Yu'er looked at each other, then at Qin Feiyang and asked, "I'm afraid that the whole city is looking for us now. How do we investigate?" "That's easy." Qin Feiyang smiled confidently and looked at the two of them. "Do you have any unused image crystal?" "I do." Young Master Hao immediately took out a brand new image crystal from his Qianquan bag. Qin Feiyang held it in his hand and looked down at the phantom snake emperor coiled around his wrist. He smiled and said, "Go." The phantom snake emperor immediately rolled up the image crystal and disappeared in front of the three of them. "What is it?" Young Master Hao and Wang Yu'er didn't notice the phantom snake emperor until now. Their eyes were full of surprise. "It's a phantom snake. It can change its color according to the environment. With it, it'll be easy to investigate Fu Xiong." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Then he sat cross-legged on the ground and closed his eyes to recuperate. Phantom snake. Damn, even such a fierce beast can be subdued. The two of them were dumbfounded. In fact, this was not a big deal. If they knew that Qin Feiyang had mastered the art of invisibility, their jaws would drop. Of course. Chapter 990. Late at night. On the streets of Azure Sea City, there were very few pedestrians. It seemed very cold and cheerless. The transaction pavilion was also closed for business. On the top floor of the trading pavilion, there was an independent room. There was a bedroom, a dining room, a tea room, and a reception hall. At this moment, Fu Xiong sat alone in the tea room with his head lowered as if deep in thought. On the tea table, the kettle was boiling, gurgling, and the fragrance of tea drifted to every corner. A moment passed. Suddenly, Fu Xiong took out an image crystal and injected a wisp of battle chi into it. Wang. Very soon, a phantom appeared out of thin air. It was Fu Anshan. Fu Xiong respectfully said, "Greetings, father." Fu Anshan nodded and asked with a smile, "What's the matter? Sending me a message in the middle of the night?" "Yes. This is still good news," Fu Xiong said. "Good news?" Fu Anshan was stunned for a moment before his interest was piqued. "Tell me about it," Fu Xiong said. "Ancestor Mu has come to Qinghai City." "What?" Fu Anshan was shocked and asked. "What is he going to Azure Sea City for?" "I don't know. Young Master Hao and Wang Yu are also with them," Fu Xiong said. Fu Anshan was bewildered. Why did these three people suddenly run to Azure Sea City? Fu Xiong frowned and asked, "Father, did you not receive any news at all?" "No." Fu Anshan shook his head. Fu Xiong was extremely shocked. One had to know. His father's status in God City wasn't low either. How could he not know that young Master Hao and the other two had left God City? After regaining his senses, Fu Xiong frowned and said, "In other words, they secretly came to Azure Sea City? That should be the case." Fu Anshan fell into deep thought. It was reasonable to say that ancestor admiring was running around. After all, he was a person who liked to wander around. However, young Master Hao and Wang Yu were both priceless people and had never left the Divine City before. Why did they suddenly run out? Fu Anshan said, "Do your best to investigate why they went to Qinghai City." Fu Xiong asked in surprise, "Father, are you suspecting that they have some sort of motive?" "I can't help but be suspicious. Let's not talk about Ancestor Mu and Wang Yu for now. I know young Master Hao too well. If there's nothing important, he won't leave the Divine City. I'm even thinking that their trip to Azure Sea City might have something to do with the Chief Tower Master," Fu Anshan said. Fu Xiong was secretly shocked. If it was really related to the Chief Pagoda Master, then this matter was not simple. "Is this the good news you were talking about?" Fu Anshan asked. "Of course not." Fu Xiong shook his head and smiled. "Just today, Ancestor Mu almost died in our trading pavilion." "Really?" Fu Anshan seemed very excited. Fu Xiong nodded and said regretfully, "Unfortunately, I'm only one step away." "What's going on?" Fu Anshan asked anxiously. Fu Xiong recounted the entire incident in detail. After listening, Fu Anshan flew into a rage and shouted, "Are you courting death? How dare you instigate young Master Long to poison them?" "Old man, don't worry. Young Master Long is dead. I've also killed that staff member. No one will know." Fu Xiong smiled confidently. "Although you're right, this is too risky. What if the matter is exposed?" Fu Anshan said furiously. "It won't happen. Without a witness, Ancestor Mu and the others won't be able to defend themselves. Shin Feiyun has already determined that young Master Hao and the others killed young Master Long for no reason. And you know the grudge between Shin Feiyun and the Chief Pagoda Master. He doesn't care about the identities of young Master Hao and the other two. Right now, I'm sending people to look for them. If I find them, I'm sure that Shin Feiyun won't be merciful." Fu Xiong laughed. Fu Anshan frowned and warned, "Then you'd better be careful. Don't let Shin Feiyun notice anything. Shin Feiyun is no longer the same as before. He's just a useless drunkard now. There's nothing to worry about," Fu Xiong said in disdain. "What a pity for a talent." Fu Anshan sighed deeply and said, "This Ancestor Mu came to the trading pavilion to embarrass me. Even if he died 100 times, it would still be difficult to resolve the hatred in my heart. If you can really make him die in Qinghai City, you can be considered to have done a great service. This is what I should do." Fu Xiong smiled politely, then suddenly thought of something and asked, "Oh right, father. How is the position of Vice Pavilion Master?" "Not good." Mentioning this, Fu Anshan was worried. "What is it?" Fu Xiong frowned. "Didn't I tell you before? I don't know where Li He found a medicinal pill called Juku Yellow Dragon Pill. He relied on this medicinal pill to bring rich benefits and a lot of popularity to the trading pavilion. Now, the pavilion master has the intention to let him inherit the position of Vice Pavilion Master." Fu Anshan said, his face full of worry. "Then who refined this Juku Yellow Dragon Pill?" Fu Xiong frowned. "I don't know. I've tried all kinds of ways to pry open Li's mouth, and even humbled myself to please him, but he just won't say anything. Fu Anshan sighed. His voice was filled with anger. Fu Xiong asked, "What about the others, didn't you ask?" "No." Even the chief pavilion master asked. That old thing didn't say anything. What a difficult bone to chew. Fu Anshan shook his head, his eyes full of helplessness. "Then this matter is difficult," Fu Xiong said. "We'll see. If it doesn't work, we'll think of a way to get rid of this old bastard." Fu Anshan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He was determined to get the position of vice pavilion master, and no one could stop him. "All right, let's not talk about it. Pay close attention to the movements of Shen Feiyun and young Master Hao. Once there's any news, tell me immediately," Fu Anshan instructed. "Okay." Fu Xiong nodded. Then Fu Anshan turned off the image crystal. Little bastard surnamed Mu. Just you wait. I will never let you return to the divine city alive." Fu Xiong snorted from his nose, and a cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Then, he put away the image crystal and walked towards the bedroom. However, he didn't notice that in the left corner of the tea room, there was a pot of green potted plant, and behind the potted plant, there was a small figure hiding. After Fu Xiong entered the bedroom, the small figure also quietly left the room. In the mountain stream outside the city, the night was as dark as ink, and it was dead silent. On the peak of the mountain, Qin Feiyang and the other two sat back to back with their legs crossed, all of them closing their eyes to rest. Whoosh! Soon, a stream of light flashed across the sky like lightning, and finally landed on Qin Feiyang's shoulder. It was the Spirit Serpent Emperor. "How is it?" Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and asked. "Nonsense, is there anything that I can't handle?" The Spirit Serpent Emperor said proudly. He took out an image crystal from his body and threw it to Qin Feiyang. "Thank you for your hard work." Qin Feiyang caught the image crystal, rubbed the Spirit Serpent Emperor's little head, and smiled lovingly. The Spirit Serpent Emperor raised its long and narrow eyes and smiled proudly. Then, it turned into an exquisite bracelet again, and coiled around Qin Feiyang's wrist. Qin Feiyang immediately checked the image recorded in the image crystal. Young Master Hao and Wang Yu opened their eyes one after another. After watching the image, Wang Yu suddenly stood up and said angrily, "It's really this bastard behind all this." Young Master Hao was also very angry. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "How did you know that there was something wrong with Fu Xiong?" Details. Qin Feiyang didn't explain much. Young Master Hao didn't ask much either. He shook his head and sighed. "Fortunately, Father asked you to come. Otherwise, if it were someone else, they wouldn't be able to break this deadlock." Qin Feiyang smiled and stood up. "I've let him laugh for so long. It's time for him to cry. Let's go." After this period of recuperation, the poison in his body had been completely removed, and his injuries were healed. Whoosh! The three of them immediately rose into the air and flew toward Qinghai City. At the city gate, more than a dozen guards were on guard. Qin Feiyang and the other two didn't hide, and directly landed in front of the city gate. It's them." A group of guards immediately drew their swords and surrounded the three of them. Qin Feiyang said lightly, "You don't have to do anything. Let's go." The leading guard sneered. "That's for the best. Let's go." The three of them looked at each other and smiled, then entered the city openly. The meeting hall. The guard said, "Little bastard, I'll kill you." Shen Feiyun growled and disappeared into the night sky with a murderous aura. "Lord, don't be rash.